Yeah.
She's a beast. I know she's
no, different Lindsay. There's
Lindsay?
so many Lindsays.
Yeah.
So Lindsay's just good at fucking powerlifting, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, guys, we're here, episode 23.
Is that actually technically it's episode 25? So I
Is
mean,
it?
but we've been jumping back and forth chronologically. Officially, episode
jumping
25.
Okay.
But that we've recorded.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the 25th episode that we're putting out there. We are going to do a strongman powerlifter. Powerlifter.
There's a difference.
That's a difference between strongman and powerlifting.
There is, yes.
But they are strong as fuck. Powerlifting transitioning into bodybuilding is what the basics of this episode is going to be. We got Joe Millslogel. We got our other coach here, Mrs. Jen. And we got another athlete over here, Alex over here. They have all transitioned from powerlifting over into bodybuilding. And we're going to get some insight from them.
Yep. But first, we have some breaking news. I mean, this week has been today has been going crazy. As we're filming this,
dude,
Matt Jensen, just got completely put on blast. I want to quickly go over that because there's just everyone's making videos about it.
Dude, I don't
know,
dude.
So if you don't know, guys, Quentin Beastwood made a video pretty much roasting Matt, and I am very mixed feelings about this one. I'm very mixed feelings because he pretty much said he's a shit coach, didn't watch his body. Maybe he blamed it on fake gear. I don't know. What do you got to say? Do you hear all that shit that's been going on?
I mean, yeah, I've been listening to it and kind of trying to follow it, but as I was working and, as the messages were coming in.
Yeah, they're flying.
But it's a lot, man. He's really putting it out there and not holding anything back against Matt. Basically stating that, yes, a lot of his stuff was fake gear. And, well, if it was fake gear, how the hell did you look 300 freaking pounds and as shredded as you are? He's like, well, there was a reason why I was doing an hour and 45 minutes cardio. But I don't know. Right. Who really knows? There's a lot of speculation going on, but, you had Nick drop from him. You had Sean Clarita drop from him. Clint Beastwood is just talking about it. But was Clint his actual...
It was his client, so he left
for a long time. He left. I thought
2 years.
This year. He did this year with Matt. He did an off season and then a prep with Matt. Yeah. So it was his first time. So I don't know if you guys know anything about what's going on. I don't know if you've seen about it.
I live in a hole.
I've been all social media. Yeah. Joe's, what do you got on that one then?
Well, like we were talking about before, it's hard to tell because I think I had told you this a couple years ago. Your job is hard because you probably get lied to more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Because it's dealing with food.
Yep.
I mean, they ate 4 extra rice cakes and they don't tell you, but the scale, it's you already know they're lying to your face.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where there's 2 sides of this story and we're seeing one side so far. I don't know that Matt will actually say anything.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'll respond.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know that he's that type of guy.
How do you respond though? You can't really defend yourself when you're getting blasted by that many people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, the big one for me is Nick, right? Yeah. Nick was getting ready for the Olympia, and they didn't know his body wasn't responding until 2 weeks out.
It was something like that, yeah. But we don't know if it was past that.
You didn't know it 8 weeks. You didn't know it. You know what I mean? Like this was supposed to be his comeback year. Injury last year.
Yeah, we were all looking forward to seeing him.
He was third the last time he competed at the Olympia.
He was third.
Like that's big.
I mean,
that just probably destroyed Nick.
100%. And I personally I hate it, but I hate to say it, but I kind of got to take Matt's side on this one. There is 2 sides to every story, guys. And before people, could you imagine if you reach out to all my clients that have left or any client that has worked with me, someone's going to have something negative to say.
Absolutely.
No coach is fucking perfect, right?
Absolutely.
Is it communication? Is it not knowing PDs? Is it not knowing how much cardio to do? Like in my experience, or what I hear from Quentin, and I'm listening to him speak, he's like, Matt may have me on 2 hours of cardio. Bro, that's nothing, bro. These bodybuilders back in the day were doing 2 hours of cardio at a fucking time. Kai Green, hours of cardio at a time. He talks about it all the time. Ronnie Coleman, same fucking thing.
Yep.
Well, in double sessions.
Or double session, bro.
Yep.
Arnold's in the gym 3 hours, 6 days, so 6 hours a day, right?
Right.
So there's so many different things that my head goes to that, but I hear a whiner, bro, to be honest with you. I hear it, and I don't give a fuck. I'll say it. I'm sure Matt wasn't perfect, but it's so easy to blame the goddamn coach. When and he's comparing himself to Samson and, all these people, well, bro, you're not Samson. You don't have the genetics Samson does, in my opinion. You don't have it. Could you have it? Potentially. Are you training hard? Are you fucking giving it your all, or are you exactly what you said? Are you cheating off plenty, eating them fucking rice cakes? So now Matt has to do those extra cardio sessions with you. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just feel bad for Matt. I don't know. No coach is perfect, but to be honest with you,
absolutely not.
Won the Arnold Classic, 2 Olympia titles. Mm-hmm. He won shot of the Arnold Classic with Nick, and he won the Olympia title with arguably some of the best and worst genetics in the world, and that's Sean Clarita, right? He doesn't have the structure to pull on all that muscle, but he did. Right. So I kind of got to have Matt's back on this one. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it all unfolds. But
yeah, I mean
the Nick Walker situation.
Yeah, that's nuts. And I mean, a lot of people have argued that. Yeah. He's got. I mean, you can't argue that Sean Clarita doesn't have the best genetics, but his work ethic and his mindset is there as a champion. Period. Yep. So he could have done exactly what he did with any fucking coach.
Yep.
That's the argument. But if I'm going to take the side of an athlete, what is Matt doing that is making this whole entire thing unhealthy for the athlete?
Exactly.
That would actually put these athletes to come together and have some sort of a consensus to why the fuck Matt's a shitty coach.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to know.
Yeah.
But I think that, like you're saying, I think Clint is just, he's bitching right now.
He's bitching. And, like, if it is, show me facts, bro. Be like, look, he had me on this amount of shit. He did this. Show me facts. Like, he's just saying that he had me in too much cardio and he burned through the muscles.
It's just like...
Any coach could,
having two people over here, two students out on a fucking recess, had an argument, right? And neither of them are right, neither of them are wrong. However, the first person who went to the fucking teacher and told on the other one is the one that's right. That's bullshit. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And so, yeah, we haven't seen the other side. Now, I would like to.
I don't think we ever will.
I don't know that Matt will say anything.
Matt's never going to say anything. And
right.
he was I've been hearing
integrity-wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
He's
right.
like, all right,
or
fuck
like,
it.
how can you defend yourself if it's just not true? You know what I'm saying? It's like, we were dealing with that enough with the election right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Base might be like a Democrat. I don't know.
Right.
But no, either way, it's sad to see. I hate seeing him because I know Matt and Nick had a great relationship. Sean and Matt had a great relationship, and now all that shit's crushed. So we'll see. But to get to the podcast, we are here with the best. The powerlifters. Give me a little breakdown on you guys' powerlifting background. You go first, real quick.
So my powerlifting journey started in Columbus, Ohio, when I was 30 years old. Pretty much how it started was, like a lot of people, my journey started at Planet Fitness, but I wasn't powerlifting then. A buddy of mine gave me some shit, said, dude, why are you training Planet Fitness? And that's where, pussies train, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, okay, easy there, buddy. Because you need to come to a real gym. So he took me to a gym called Beyond Limits Training in Columbus, Ohio, and it's a big bodybuilding powerlifting gym. You've probably been to it if you came for the Arnold Sports Festival. Okay. It's on Long Street. It's right across from I don't know what, Powerhouse now they call it. That gym's changed so much.
Pros Gym,
yeah, but it was Powerhouse. It's been everything. Anyways, Beyond Limits is like a little bit down the street on Long Street. And I went in there, and it's just all old brick walls, just old school as fuck. And I'm like, fuck yeah, this is sweet. No interest in really powerlifting yet, but then I saw some dude deadlifting, and I was like, I want to fucking do that. So all I did was deadlift. All I did was deadlift. And then a buddy of mine pulled me aside and goes, hey, man, if you like deadlifting, why don't you powerlift? So I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, sure. Does it mean I have to squat? And he's like, yeah, dude, you got to do squat. And I'm like, fuck. Okay, fine. So anyways, he gave me a template from Brandon Lilly, who was a famous powerlifter. So I followed the template, which is called the Cube method. And I did that for my first meet, and I competed in a federation called NASA, which was a drug tested federation. So I did that. I went, I think it was like 6 for 9. So I did pretty good for my first meet.
You want to explain that for Matt?
Yeah,
6 for 9. So pretty much.
I'm thinking 69.
So in powerlifting, you get 3 attempts for each lift. So 3 lifts, 3 times 3, 9.
Gotcha. Squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yeah, squat, bench, deadlift. So I pretty much, missed an attempt from each one. So wasn't bad. Yeah. And then from there, I just kind of went forward, eventually moved on to federations like USPA, and then APF into RPS. And then I made my way to Sarasota. And actually, my first Sarasota powerlifting meet was ran by Joe here. It was my first Sarasota showdown. And been competing for, like I said, for almost 8-9 years now. Not anymore, actually. Now we're bodybuilding. But and I've had the privilege to learn from a lot of awesome people. I was coached by a guy from Westside, learned about the conjugate method, got into multiply and single ply too when I was training in Georgia. And
we know some of the same people that
we were yes. Jen and I were actually both coached by Anthony Oliveira, who
he was actually a coach at the gym I owned.
Wow. Yeah, and he's actually in New Hampshire now, but he lived.
Was that like livestock, like some kind of online coaching, where it's like he gave you like a template, like, hey, you got to hit this amount every week or whatever?
For the conjugate method, I think he did that.
For trigger warning, yeah. So he gave me online programming pretty much. He literally, like, pretty much everyone did the same programming, no matter what. So we were in a little group, and then he literally just put it out there, like, hey, because, you know, with conjugates, like how it's broken down, at least the West Side method was, okay, here's your max effort day, whether it be upper or lower. Then you got your dynamic effort day, which would be like your speed work for upper or lower. So pretty much everyone did the same thing. It was just the weight was different. Right. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, Anthony was part of Westside Barbell for years in the morning crew, night crew. But for me, on our squat days, he would come in and work with everybody on their squat because, you know, we had guys squatting, you know, thousands of pounds. Like literally we had dudes like with 1,000 pounds on the barbell. So he would come in, you know, help spot, you know, spot load, making sure we weren't going to, you know, do anything stupid. So yeah, got into the conjugate method and I did that for a while. And then moved to Georgia, trained with a crew there. And then, there was some drama there, not involving me, just gym
So
drama.
pretty much, long story, it took you over here to us. So Jen, real quick, give us your background. Sorry, you can probably talk to you for an hour straight, but Jen, what do you got?
I'm a whole story.
There's a lot.
So I actually started out with bodybuilding. So I did bodybuilding 2012, 13, 14 in the National Federation. After my 2014 show, I was like, I'm fucking done with this. I need something that's not going to kill me. I thought that prep just tore me down and killed me, that style of prepping. So I switched to powerlifting. My husband was into that at the time. So I did my first powerlifting meet, I want to say like 6 months after my last show. And I was pretty much hooked on that. I was, you know, looking back, I was really fucking weak back then compared to like how I ended. But then, you know, I got pregnant and I actually competed in a powerlifting meet 9 months postpartum. I was nursing my baby in between flights. Like it was crazy. Yeah. And everyone's like, I can't believe you're back at it already. And I was like, well, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Exactly.
Stay home and, you know, I already watched all my episodes of 90210 and shit.
Yeah,
so.
Prison Break, all that stuff. You know. Breaking Bad, we're going to
Yeah, so I used to bring the baby to the gym with me. And then, let's see, my husband and I opened up a powerlifting gym in New Hampshire in 2015. So we had like all the Westside Barbell method equipment, the monoliths, we had Elite FTS stuff. So Anthony was actually our first trainer that we had hired there.
Yeah.
Lots of drama, so I'm not even going to get into that. But
So there's a bunch of drama.
yeah, there's drama.
There's always drama in powerlifting.
So, you know, now, what have you accomplished in bodybuilding or powerlifting? What have you accomplished?
So my last meet was my best meet. My total was 1,065. So my squat was 405, bench was 235, and deadlift I think was 425.
Wow. Okay.
So I won that whole meet. It was an elite status or whatever, however they categorized it back then. And then I was planning on doing like a really big meet in Ohio. Laura Phelps.
Oh, that one north of the border?
Yeah.
Or the women's pro-am?
The women's pro.
Oh, women's pro-am is so much fun.
I was planning on doing that in
Great
2020.
meet. Shout out Laura Phelps.
Yeah. That was my plan. I
Literally
qualified
the
for that
queen
and
of
everything. And
powerlifting.
then COVID happened. So
Gotcha. And then
all the
you
meets
didn't
shut down.
since then.
Yeah.
That
So
was it.
at
Okay.
that time, my husband and I had shut down our gym. That was 5 years after we were open for 5 years. We had all the equipment in our garage. So we had the monolift in our garage and everything. So I could
Oh, that's
continue
sweet.
to train.
I would have came to your house and trained.
Oh my God. Everybody was jealous.
I had a monolith in my garage for a little while.
I forgot you had a monolith too in your garage.
So it was pretty sick. We ended up being able to train through all that chaos. And then I was done with it after, you know, COVID and everything. So there was no meets. There was nothing going on. So I got just kind of bored of the training.
And you kind of won. You know, you kind of.
I
you
didn't
went out on the
think
top,
I could
maybe.
ever beat that total.
Yeah.
That was my thing too. I was like, I don't think I can ever beat that total. So what's the point of going back and doing another meet if it's not going to, you know, top that last one?
Yeah.
And then when I moved down here, just was training like, you know, bodybuilding style, no real goal in sight. And I remember I reached out to Matt and I was like, I think I want to do a competition. You know, I think we were talking about the Sarasota show.
Yeah.
And I changed my mind and continued doing my own thing. And then I ended up doing a powerlifting meet.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't you do, was it the barbell vice?
Barbell Vice meet. Yeah. So I did that
Great
in,
meet.
Okay.
I think, March of 2023.
Yeah, I was at your meet.
Yeah. And then I reached out to Matt like 2 months later and I was like, I think I just want to go back to bodybuilding training. I want to look like a bodybuilder, but I don't want to compete. 2 weeks
And now here we are. She's pro 1 year later.
Yeah.
2 weeks into the lifestyle prep, he's like, you know, there's a show in 12 weeks. You sure you don't want to do that? And I was
Yeah.
like,
She was just looking too good.
all right, fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's
there's no
go.
way she's not going to dominate this shit.
Right.
You know. So Joe, give us a little breakdown, man. I know you and your wife are both used to be huge into it. Now you're in bodybuilding. So give us a breakdown on you guys.
So I also owned a gym. In 2012, I came with this idea. You know, I was more into general fitness then. I was like, I want to own a gym. I was in restaurant management for years. I was like, I want to work for myself. So I went to open a gym in Northport called Fitness 1440. And I'd say probably about 2 years into owning that, I was like, I was kind of bored of training. I was like, I need something to go towards. So I tried to diet for like a week, and I got a little bit weak, and I was like, I'm not doing this. We're going to go to powerlifting. Like, I can eat Moe's burritos and go deadlift 600 pounds. That's what we're going to go do. So I picked a meet. You know, actually, Laura and I, we were sitting there, we were getting married, and I was telling everybody at the rehearsal dinner, I was like, I'm going to do a powerlifting meet in 6 months. She's like, where'd this come from? I was like, I need something to do. So I actually started with push-pull. So I just did, you know, because I was a very strong bencher naturally. Like, my first powerlifting meet, push-pull, I was, you know, pause benching over 350. My second meet, I was over 400. So probably 6 months after that, I started my first full powerlifting meet. I've done 14 or 15 meets.
I don't even know how many I've done on top of my head.
I've ran 4 or 5. I've been the, you know, main promoter, and I put on the meet. I started the first powerlifting meet in the Sarasota area. I ran the first 2 or 3, and then I handed it over to Adam at Grind Fit, and then he ran 2 or 3, and then he kind of went broke.
Yeah.
And
I was in there on that one. So.
yeah, and then he, you know, you know what happened with that situation. So after that, Jordan got involved, and I helped Jordan start with the prize money. So I gave him $2,000 to start the meet, and then he started his gym. And Jordan, if you don't know, Jordan Wong down the street, you know, in Northport, he's held the all-time world record for squats and knee sleeves twice at 220.
Wow.
At first time he held it was at 805 and then 828.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when people see Ronnie Coleman squatting 800 for 2, that's bodybuilding. And powerlifting, strength is a whole different thing. Muscle mass doesn't really mean anything. You were at the second Sarasota Showdown, so you remember Ryan, who won that meet at 165 pounds.
Oh yeah, and Trevor Jaffe was there too.
Yeah, Ryan beat him. So Ryan, 165 pounds, like 5'11".
Wow.
165, 5'11".
So he's a
Could
small
squat
guy.
600, bench 400, and deadlift 700.
He actually did it like 100%. It was like boom.
And
yeah.
he wasn't even in a
What a
suit.
monster.
This is called raw. You know, and he had no
Yeah.
suit, nothing like that. Ronnie, when he did his squat, he was in a suit.
Yeah, I was about to
single
let's
ply.
clarify that too.
Yeah, he was in a single ply suit. So geared suits, if you're not.
Have knee wraps and stuff.
Well, I know you don't know a lot about it, but when geared, so like a single ply and multiply suits, it's almost like wearing a slingshot on your body.
Gotcha.
So it's
Except
going to
it's crushing
compress
your internal
everything. So when you're
organs.
going down, it's going to shoot
So
you
that's
back
what
up.
Ronnie was wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're doing it raw, it means you don't have that on. You have a singlet on. It's made out of material and use some knee sleeves or knee wrap, whatever.
Right.
That's the difference from raw and geared lifters.
Gotcha.
So there's a huge difference in totals between those things.
It also differentiates if you're wearing knee sleeves and
Yep.
knee wraps too,
Yep.
like RPS.
Yep.
Knee sleeves, you're raw.
Yep.
Is it modern that they call it?
Modern. I mean,
Raw. And then modern- or-
it doesn't
no,
matter as much anymore because of
rounds
open
is-
powerlifting.
Yeah.
They've kind of divided it.
Yeah.
And as long as you send it to open powerlifting, whatever you wear on your knees, they'll kind of accept it.
Gotcha.
Open powerlifting is how they track all of this.
Okay.
So there's a website out there. Everybody that's ever competed in any meet, your total's on there.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
you're ranked.
I really didn't know much about powerlifting before that, so it's kind of like a different thing than bodybuilding. Like
Yep.
kind of how we're ranked, you know, each
Right.
pro. I'm sure there's different federations. So
Right.
real quick, you know, what is your advice to bodybuilders that want to, or powerlifters that want to transition into bodybuilding?
I think honestly, all powerlifters should do a period of time where they train like a bodybuilder.
Yep.
I think, you know, because that was the big thing for me. What got me started into kind of this journey was with my old coach. I said, hey, I want to do a building phase. I want to put on some good, like just dense muscle. I want to put on some good size because, you know, obviously strong, but I want to look like I'm strong.
Yep.
So we started doing a lot, you know, like I said, a lot of hypertrophy work, working on slowing the eccentric and the concentric, just a lot of different, changes in the method of training that we were doing before. And then, I was kind of taking that method when I moved back to Sarasota from Georgia. And then I had my accident. And then we were still continuing that, method. And then I'm just like, you know what? I think I really just want to go full send. And that's when I started talking to you. We started as a lifestyle client. And then,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Actually, when we started training, I didn't think you let me do your training. It was just diet at first, right?
Yeah.
It was. So, yeah, so you started doing my
And then
diet. And then
I saw his training split after, I hate messing with other coaches. I don't like doing that shit. But
Yep.
I'm like, hey, dude, if you're going to do this, let me see what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure it was all over the place. It was just not bodybuilding.
Let me interject there. So powerlifting coaches are not bodybuilding coaches.
Yep.
So when you ask them to put on tissue, that's something out of the norm. Most powerlifters don't go up in weight classes. They go down in weight classes,
Yeah.
if anything.
Exactly.
So that means they're trying to get stronger as they lose weight. in majority of cases. I mean, it happens sometimes because you'll get a young powerlifter, and as they get older, they gain weight. You know what I mean? You can't really stop that. The majority of powerlifters, after they've been doing it for a while, they'll go from like 242 to 220 because they want to get stronger at 220 than where they're a little bit of fat. Gotcha. So they'll get in with a nutritionist and lose some weight to kind of get there where they're more lean tissue, right? But they're not expertise in lean tissue. The whole goal of powerlifting is to use your body weight to move that weight.
Just to be as strong as humanly possible.
Right. And in bodybuilding, you're trying to make sure that your body is secure and you're moving weight with just the muscles, with no momentum. Yeah. Momentum's the devil in bodybuilding, right? Powerlifting, it's key. Yeah. Like if you don't know how to use the momentum of the weight, you're not going to be strong.
Your leverage is everything.
I think that's the biggest thing that I found with
training with
both
me.
of you. She's so fucking strong, guys. I'll put her up against almost any man on like squat, bench, deadlift. Dude, this girl's insane. But that was the biggest thing we had to really hyper focus on was
isolating,
dude. Controlling the muscle. She's doing a lot of popping. She's using a lot of momentum. That's the first thing we did, and I don't think people really understand. I've seen Alex in the gym, and he still does not fully grasp this yet.
Right.
He's getting there.
I know.
But he's getting there.
It takes time, honestly.
It takes time, right? I've seen like 3 different workouts, and I got to run. Alex, no, this is what you're supposed to do, right? Like, because he's so used to that. And I feel like that's the hardest thing. But if you could do it, you guys make phenomenal fucking bodybuilders, man, because you guys have the strength to push the weight.
Right.
Now you need the muscle doing the
right.
push.
Well, you have
it is the best way to put on a foundation of muscle, though, honestly.
Yeah.
You have to step backwards, though. Like you said, you have to relearn how to lift weights because it's completely different. Exactly. You're just going to have a higher, trajectory once you do relearn that and you can build the strength back. But at first, like, it's humbling. Like, I don't deadlift at all anymore because we're men's physique. Like, I'm not trying to make that core big. You remember my first show? My core was huge. I was a block.
So that was going to be a big topic of discussion.
That was my problem.
I was a 700-pound deadlifter. Yeah. And I didn't put a belt on until I got over 650.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I was using a lot of my core as a belt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's the whole purpose. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right, right.
And that's the difference between bodybuilding and powerlifting.
That's why you look at all those guys, they have giant freaking, cores.
Yeah. I mean, Jen, that's the only thing we got slammed on. I mean, if you just had a smaller waist, like we would be like, we would
it's the compound motions.
Right? Yeah.
Like how many years away? It's 4 years now since I first contacted you. Like, hey man, I need a posing coach, and he saw me through that whole first prep, and like the core was my problem. Like I had dense muscle in my back and my shoulders. But like it even had to come down in my back. Like I had to regrow my back because I stopped heavy deadlifting. I stopped some of the heavy back stuff to really just bring in that V taper.
Yeah, get the lower lats because we don't use the lower lats as much in powerlifting either.
It's like I said, you're almost like back deadlifting instead of leg deadlifting.
Is so fucking just like him, dude. His upper back is huge, but it's the lower lats, exactly we said, is hard to grow.
Yeah,
and like that's a big thing. I told us, I said we're not doing any more heavy shit. That's like it's all about time and attention. Like I remember, like you were still deadlifting, not even like almost a year ago, like right after the off season, you started going back deadlifting. I'm like, no, we can't.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to. So as a powerlifter, it's hard to go away from those things. And then even as you go away from it, and let's say you're like, all right, cool, we're gonna take baby steps. You can still do it, but you're gonna do it light. You're gonna be tempted to throw those plates on.
Yeah, your ego has to be checked. That's the biggest thing with powerlifting is your ego, because like I said, you're used to lifting heavy. You're used to lifting maximally a lot of times. So dropping the weight down, slowing the concentric and eccentric, you get in your head. But that's also why I love bodybuilding is I'm not in my head about numbers. When I was a powerlifter, like I go in the gym, let's say I got programmed something at whatever deadlifted RPE 8-9, and I go in or not 8-9, excuse me, like a 7, and it turns into an 8-9, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, fuck, I didn't get the lift, and then I'm just panicking about the numbers and all that. But with bodybuilding, it's about the feeling and actually engaging the muscles. So it's like it doesn't matter what I could put on a plate or two on whatever it is, as long as I'm stimulating the muscle to grow it. That's what matters. So that's one thing I will say about bodybuilding that I love is that I'm not in my head about that kind of stuff. I'm in my head about other things, but definitely not the numbers.
So, do you think you could do both at the same time? Powerlifting and bodybuilding?
A lot of people do. There are a lot of pros that do both in the off season, but I think it would be challenging, especially
the term power builder.
People at a high level that do that get hurt.
Yeah.
Ben Pollock, Larry Wheels.
I was about to say the Trent twins, bro.
Yeah, just right. So anytime they try to go back to that weight, Larry Wheels did it. He tried to do a powerlifting meet, squat, his quad tendon.
You tried to do strongman.
Ben Pollock, same thing, got his pro card. He went from a 198 powerlifter to a 260-pound bodybuilder on stage and then went back to powerlifting, expecting his total to shoot through the roof, which at the time he was one of the best 198 powerlifters in the world ever. Didn't work. He didn't make it through meet. He hasn't made it through a full meet since he did bodybuilding. So it's very hard because
the mechanics are different too, and it takes time
look,
to learn
look,
that.
look how lean you are now compared to when you were a powerlifter and you're in off season.
Right.
Like,
She thinks she's fat right now, guys.
right,
She's fucking lean.
but let's put it this way: powerlifters are not this lean when they're doing powerlifting. If they are, they look like that for about a day because they did a meat cut.
Exactly.
Because like John Hackle posts, the day he's doing a show, he's got some abs and stuff. He's getting water in his body. Some of these guys drop 30 pounds for meats in like a week.
Yeah, but then they eat
Sometimes
it
even
all back.
overnight.
Sure, right. That's the one thing.
A lot of
is
it's the water. So
after
they
weigh-ins.
they'll hook up the IVs and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it makes
Pickle
sense. And I
juice.
mean, that's the other big thing. So one, you have to recage your brain and relearn how to lift like a bodybuilder and do all that type of stuff. But then the other thing is, as you're alluding to, is how lean can you get in bodybuilding? It's a diet. It's a different change in the way that you eat, because as a powerlifter, you don't necessarily care. You can eat whatever you want. However, like you're alluding to as well, is like you want to get lose weight so that you can be in a lower weight class, correct?
Yep.
So you have that to go. So how
Strength
how
also
was,
goes most of the time when you're losing the weight.
So how was incorporating or changing into a bodybuilding diet for you guys?
Honestly, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because honestly, just eating better has been the biggest thing. Because, I mean, when I was training in Georgia, after, a heavy squat day, I'd literally go to this fast food place called Cookout and get like 6 cheeseburgers. It was, like I said, I was eating pretty terrible as a powerlifter and a strongman, I'll be honest with you. I mean, my main staple meal was like ground bison and rice. So still eating what we've, been
like
programmed
Thor's
with.
diet. Pretty
Exactly. Yeah. The vertical diet, all that stuff. And not because I had any true knowledge about what I was eating, just because I saw Thor and all them eating that. And I was like, okay.
Gotta be what I need.
Exactly. I was like, but no real nutritional background. But yeah, I mean.
Monster Mash, that's my
Dude, I was blending
that's still
London broil. You remember that? Meat shakes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just
Yeah, that's what I eat all day. London broils you get at Sam's Club, the big ones? I would blend those once a day and eat one.
my friend Connor does that with chicken.
What's the point?
So I don't have to chew that much. I just it goes down.
You blend it, just the meat itself?
Right, I would cook it and then I would blend it.
Oh, you cook it and then you blend
A
it.
little water.
And then I would eat it all day. Yeah, spinach, exactly.
How does that taste?
Like shit.
I put barbecue sauce in. I didn't care, man. I was eating that all day.
My
Like a
husband would
savory
eat
shake.
Yeah,
Dude,
all
you never
day.
had a savory
So
smoothie?
at the end of
Now we're fucking
my
roast.
powerlifting career, I actually hired a nutritionist the last 4 or 5 months, and I was going to dial that in because the top guys in powerlifting, other than maybe Dan Bell, who's just naturally built for this
Who can
sport.
drink a case of beer and
I've
set a
seen him
world
do it.
record.
He drank a case of beer, 2,600 pound total, never been done ever. But he's Iowa farm boy big, he's 350 pounds. He can do what he wants to do. But the top people in that sport, like Hunter Henderson was just at the Olympia.
Yeah.
She's one of the top female powerlifters in the world as well. The top ones in the sport took nutrition into account, but not to the way to, bodybuilding, because you still have to eat in a surplus and you got to take it into account. In powerlifting, you're dealing with your neurological system too, because it's so heavy. Yeah. So nutrition can fuel that sport. And that was my idea, because I was getting to that point where I was like the second best in the area behind Jordan for a while as the man, as my total.
I would say that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was trying to chase you on deadlift.
Right. But I was trying to chase, Jordan.
Right,
And I was
which is
like, I
hard.
need that next step. My fatal flaw in powerlifting was I was trying to train for that strong man and a powerlifting. I was going into a powerlifting meet. I knew I was going to win the whole meet. I knew who was going. I was going to win it overall. For sure. I had just deadlifted 700 pounds on fire at Grind Fit.
I remember that.
I was benching 450 like every other week. I was like, I'm going in there.
Did you hurt your back?
No, I tore my adductor off.
Turn
the bone.
adductor, that's it.
Yep, squatting. But the problem was, it wasn't the powerlifting. I was training strongman after my powerlifting programming. So I was going to do bag over bar after I was doing squats. So I was doing a lot of thrusting. Wow. And on one of my peak squats, it just tore.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was it in a meet that happened?
No. I was peaking for. I didn't even make it to the.
You
I
were
didn't
in
even
your
make it to the
garage
meet.
gym, weren't you?
Wow.
I
So
was-
you didn't go to that meet because you
No,
tore your
I
shit
did it at Grind Fit. I tore it at Grind Fit. So
Oh, never mind.
I was like 2 weeks out from the meet. I was going to do the meet, and the following weekend I was going to do one of the largest strongman events up in Tampa, the Tampa Strongman one.
Oh, yeah.
And Florida Strongest, I think it was called, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was going to go do that because it was mostly pressing. And I was like, there's no way that anybody's going to beat me at pressing in strongman. Because
Right.
I was doing the strongman activities after my bench routine and doing like sets of 20. And I think when I went there, the highest guy was like 15.
Yeah.
So like it was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to go win this show, and I'm getting hurt.
That's crazy, man.
Well, that's why I did static monsters, because I was like, okay, it's the max log,
Yeah.
and then the 18-inch axle deadlift. I was like, sweet, I'm in. This is great. You know, I don't have to do any medley events or like stones or whatever. I'm like, this is perfect. And that was actually my first strongman event was static monsters right when I moved back to Florida. So I prepped for that in Georgia, and then I moved to Sarasota during Hurricane Ian, which was wonderful. And then like prepped for like 2 weeks before the competition.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think is more? All right, so we know everything's going to have a little toll on your body, right? You have bodybuilding, which we all take PEDs to get to the best of the best, right? That's going to take some time off our life, whether we want to admit or not. We do our best. Powerlifting, I would say, is kind of the same, right? Like with PEDs, like these guys are running shit, like probably more than bodybuilding.
I mean, that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask as well. So, like,
Different
I mean,
compounds.
Obviously, we've had this discussion a little bit about that kind of stuff. So, how does that play? I mean, you obviously know how we utilize PEDs in bodybuilding,
Right.
How is
It's
it
more
used?
for the strength aspect.
Right.
of
It's
it.
strength. You're taking for
right?
strength. But I mean, you've seen this at meets. You walk into a men's bathroom, it smells like TNE.
That
You know what
was about to
TNE
say.
is?
I was like, TNE.
It's water test.
Gotcha.
So I mean, like it's immediate because between every attempt, they're shooting test.
Oh, you're watching them in the warm up room.
every attempt.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting
That's
test
insane.
and taking orals between every
So they're
attempt.
taking like
The
Halo
Halo,
test.
right?
Halo and Anadrol. Yeah.
Just shoving that shit.
Yeah.
So in one day, you know, you're probably low in weight though, right? You're probably your peak lowest weight because you want to be strong. But then you're also
No.
pumping.
So
No.
You weigh in 24 hours before meet.
And then
And as soon as you
eat
eat
20
everything.
hours,
You hydrate. You eat everything.
Gotcha.
So you're probably the heaviest you've ever been in your entire life. Meet day, and you're taking all of this. Like I used to compete out of state. I'd go up to Tennessee, and these boys in Tennessee, man,
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
SPF.
they would run like 3 bottles of gear a week. Meet week.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So at least with bodybuilders, we're eating healthy, so we're not just destroying our fucking bodies.
Right.
With most of these people who are blasting gear, they're probably just eating cheeseburgers and all this bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Well,
recovery
and the
shit, too.
drugs.
Yeah,
I don't
recovery
think the
shit
drugs
feel-
are as high in bodybuilding. To be honest with you,
I don't think so.
Maybe
That's what I was about to say.
maybe open bodybuilding at the top level.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not even like the tests and stuff. It's growth hormone,
Exactly.
and it's insulin, and it's the other things that you don't really think about. Where in powerlifting, you take a lot of orals.
I would say a lot of orals.
Orals are big.
That's the big
Anadrol,
Because they're
D-ball,
fat
strength
packing,
drugs.
right?
Well, and they add a lot of water, so you can be very strong. You know, it's the strength drugs,
lubricated.
right? And then Halo at
hydrated.
the end, Halo for weeks. Like it's a lot of those kind of things. But I will say, bodybuilding is harder overall because it is a job.
Yeah.
The barrier of entry to get into powerlifting is very low. So I will say this, that when you go in, powerlifting's not easy, but it's a good stepping stone to get into fitness and say, I'm going to go there. All I'm going to do is beat my lifts.
Yeah, anyone can
I don't
really
care
do
who
a
shows
meet.
up.
It's
I'm going
not
to go.
subjective. You either
Right.
lift the weight or you
Right.
don't lift the weight.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
where
and you've been
bodybuilding-
at meets where like somebody will have 65 pounds on the bar, and that's okay, but somebody will have 1,000 pounds on the same meet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like it's not kind of. I mean, you see it in bodybuilding sometimes where people just do it for weight loss, and they'll be like, "I'm going to get on stage." You don't see it as often, but like usually for a bodybuilding show, everybody that's at that show dieted very hard.
Right.
Even if they were there for a weight loss thing, they lost 100 pounds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? For powerlifting, it's like, all right, you know, I kind of went to the gym a few times.
Yeah. You
Let's
do
see how
your
much I can
training
squat,
and
bench, and
then
deadlift.
It kind of ends there. You walk
Yeah.
out of the gym and then you're
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
bodybuilding is 24/7 around the clock.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
timing
yeah.
your meals and your supplements and your sleep.
Everything is timed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Crunch did this thing. It was 3 powerlifting meets back to back to back. Actually,
was
won
years
all-
ago.
I actually
Yep.
won all 3
Yep.
of them actually.
Yep.
And they did it height. It was it was weight versus it was weight versus like
Yeah,
how much
body
weight you
weight,
did
yeah.
divided by your body
Yeah.
weight
Your
or something.
coefficient.
Yeah.
And I won all 3.
Yeah.
You know the guy named Gabe? He's in town. Big as shit. I think it's Gabe.
Gage?
Gage.
Yes,
Gage.
he's from Bradenton. Yeah,
Bro, he's a fucking tank.
he.
so,
I know Gage.
so he showed up and like I beat him by like point something percent. Like I beat him by like
he's a
1%.
monster.
Dude,
I've
he
talked
was
to him
pissed.
forever.
He was
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah.
Bro, he was not happy with it because I'm a powerlifter. Bro. I mean, I'm a bodybuilder. I didn't give a shit about. I was just really fucking strong.
Yeah.
I think that made me. I think I did like 500 and something squat. I did like 400 bench, I think, and then my deadlift was shit. It was like 500, but he lost to me in bench and tied with me in squat. And then, dude, his fucking deadlift was like 750.
I was like,
mine
yeah,
five.
it's up there.
It was like 750. But I beat him because I was
you're lighter.
Because you're lighter.
I was 30 or 40 pounds lighter than him.
Yeah.
So I ended up beating him. He was really salty about that. But when I walked in there, I remember being like, it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a lot of fun. That's where I blew my back out. But I feel like, do you guys like judge the small guys or anything? Like I felt like people were looking at me like weird. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
Well, no. Like I said, the one guy was.
I'm shit, bro. I won the whole thing, but I thought people were like
The one guy that won the meet, he was 165 pounds. Like I said, he was like 5'10", 5'11". But so I'll give you this in powerlifting. You can go to a local meet and win money. Non-bodybuilding.
Non-bodybuilding.
Jordan has a meet. What month are we in? So December. A couple weeks
It's
before
like
Mel's show.
King of the
It's a really
platform.
fun meet.
King and
So
queen.
it's king and queen of the platform, and it's gotten so big that the top woman in the world will be there down in Northport.
Like competing.
Yes, in powerlifting. The grand prize is over $5,000, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
You don't see that in bodybuilding.
$5,000.
Second prize like $2,000.
Now, is that a-
Third prize like
Is that a pro event? Or
no. There's no
compete
such
in
thing.
this?
There's no such thing in powerlifting.
There's just rankings.
There's no pro event in powerlifting.
Yeah, it's only like
There's one federation that just started. They call themselves a pro event, and they have pro days based on your. It's not the same as a coefficient, but
Which
it's
one
a
is
Wilks
that?
score. I just have started.
it's like a ranking
They
thing.
started doing it in Europe recently. I forget
Is
what.
it
I'll send
was
it
it
to you.
is it like the one that like Ghost Clash and stuff like that? Because I know they
No,
have like
it's-
their quote unquote pro day.
Where
and
they have a
stuff.
pro day, but that's based on your Wilks score.
Your
You have to have
Wilks,
over
yeah.
5 something Wilks, or they have that
Yeah.
new score out. I
To
forget.
try
what
to
it's called.
limit people from doing the event or something.
Well,
so
the
it's
pro
not
day
million
is
people.
bigger money.
They just want the best of the best. You know, They're
Which these money meets now. So if you want to go back a little bit, the Kern used to pay
Oh,
out
yeah, the Kern.
$40,000 to the top man and woman.
Wow.
At the meet, it
thought
was
the
in
Kern
California
prize
every
was
year.
in San Diego.
Biggest powerlifting meet.
It was, but they don't do it anymore. So, but now you have more of these little meets that pay out money.
Got you.
Like Jordan runs 2 meets that he pays over $10,000 in prizes every year.
Wow.
Because it wasn't done around here. And even with my first Sarasota showdown with 17 people, I gave out prize money.
yeah.
I lost money doing that, but the second one sold out completely.
Yeah.
So I mean, like
That was
I
what I
brought
did,
that
right?
into where like the guy in Tampa would give out $500 here and there.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'm gonna make it $2,000 for the prize pool. Like let's make this thing happen. People don't want trophies. You gave out the trophies to the people in their height, their weight classes, because it's done by weight classes, first, second, and third. But it's the overall lifters for the meet. We started giving them money.
So what about the best of the best? Do they get a lot of money? Is there like some kind of like, is it Olympics for powerlifting? Is that how it works? Or-
That-
No,
Olympic
that's
lifting.
Olympic lifting.
Not
Yeah.
powerlifting.
So there's no like Olympia for powerlifting.
WPO at one point had really big payouts, and that WPO is a big multiply powerlifting meet, like the best of the best, and will compete there. And their cash out or their prize is pretty big at one point, wasn't it? Back in the day, I don't know what it is now.
I didn't follow the
Isn't
equip
that
stuff.
Kind of like,
No, neither did I.
a business thing that you guys can start doing. Like imagine putting on like the Olympia for powerlifting, where it's like it's
So
invite only.
the problem is the Olympia works because people go watch it. Powerlifting is not a spectator sport. Like you go if you're into it and you know somebody lifting, but Joe off the street isn't coming to watch a powerlifting meet unless he knows he's going to do one.
That's true.
And my theory around that, because people have asked me this, because I've done both, and I've been a promoter, and I've been I'm really good with Mel, so I've seen the back end of both of it, and I've done both. Let me ask you this: what's easier for you to train somebody to do? Have abs or bench 400 pounds?
Have abs for sure.
There you go. That's all you need to know, and that's why it's more appealing to watch bodybuilding than it is powerlifting.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, they're like, well, shit, I can look like that.
Yeah.
Well, I can't bench 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Or a lot of these powerlifters are kind of out of shape. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them are really strong.
Sure. I mean,
you're
there's
gonna get half of them. bro,
there's
that
some
look
of
like
them
crap
that
are a
look
little bit
better
strong,
than
but-
your average person.
Yeah.
They look like they work out. And I think it's more attainability, and it has to be, for bodybuilding is appealing and sexy because it's attainable.
Yeah.
Anybody can be fit. You just have to diet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to diet. You have to go exercise. You have to, get in the calories
Cardio.
and burn the calories. But we're powerlifting, like nobody in here is going to squat 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, no.
Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's not something that's attainable. It's not sexy. You don't see powerlifters on the cover of Flex magazine.
Yeah.
You don't see them on Muscle and Fitness. And there's a
There's
reason.
one. There's one of Muscle and Fitness.
Who, John?
Jamal.
Oh, Jamal. Okay.
Yeah, he's the only one I've ever seen featured on like a full day of eating and whatever. Has been Jamal Bauer. That's it.
I feel like, you know, looking at, I don't know nothing about powerlifting besides just 3 meets I did for fun, just because it was fun. But like looking into it, I felt like it was almost bigger than bodybuilding. What did you think? I don't know.
There's more meats. There's more meats.
But I thought it was a little bigger. You know, I thought there was like a
there's no top tier.
Yeah.
It's bigger on the ground floor.
So strongman is like the top.
Strongman is
That's the big
definitely
one.
Well,
yeah.
it's not even it's not even big on the ground floor. Like there's not like 80 strongman meets in Florida every year.
Yeah, true.
There's like 5.
Gotcha.
Strongman is big at the top.
Yeah, like Worlds and Giant Slide.
Bodybuilding has the best foundation where it has a good ground base. It has a good middle when you go to national. Then you have a pro level. Then you have the Olympia. But now you have all these pro shows that are starting to get bigger. Where like Strongman's got like 2 or 3 events that are pretty big and they got a decent payout for the top guy. You know, the top 10 strongman in the world probably make good money. Just like powerlifting, probably the top 3 in the world. Maybe make some money.
So I guess with powerlifting, it's all about what
They're
you
not
can
living
do
off
with
of it, though, either.
what you have. You know, it's
Yeah.
Well, it's your social media.
It's a social
Like,
media.
yeah, social media. Like you can
It has a good community though too.
Sure.
Like bodybuilding
Yep.
has a good community, but powerlifting has a really tight community.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's yelling for you. Where in bodybuilding,
I agree.
you get certain people that are like, go fuck off.
Pretty much. You have to be like, think about it. You have to be really, really like
Yeah.
goofy looking
Yeah.
to get a round of applause at a bodybuilding show. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be fucking goofy.
A little more pressure, a little more pressure.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Look at
I was
that
thinking
guy.
of Elvis guy. So
Yeah.
you got a big
You know what I
applause.
mean? Yeah, standing ovation and shit.
Because it was just fucking weird. Let's be
Right.
honest. It just wasn't
It was
normal,
entertaining.
right?
Yeah.
But if it's like a guy
But
who
he knew that.
half-asses
I think
the
he
prep-
knew that. He's like, yeah,
That
whatever.
was his only, yeah.
No, he thought he was going to win.
Well,
I know
I-
that guy.
I
Sebastian goes
I
to
challenge you
I
to
remember he tried to fucking
I challenge you to go to one of these powerlifting events because they're just down in Northport.
Yeah.
And just go for the environment and see what it is. Because again, like I said, no one does it outside of Northport to Tampa still. There's still not one in Sarasota since we stopped the
I mean,
Sarasota Showdown.
Bradenton, the barbell vice meet.
Yeah,
is the only
he does
other
the one. Brandon does the one a
And
year.
Barbell,
Gotcha.
they're putting on meets too.
Yeah.
So pretty much like going towards St. Pete, but yeah, nothing in Sarasota.
So do you guys recommend people, if they have inspirations to be, you know, like Jen, like you guys, like competing someday, do you think bodybuilding or powerlifting is a thing you should stay in for a long period of time? Or do you think you should just do it, get strong, and move into bodybuilding?
It's a good stepping stone for sure, and you do build a great foundation of muscle. You know, like that's strictly what I did for 8 years before I joined, and you know, I got my pro card a year later.
Yep.
And I was natural too with powerlifting. I wasn't on all these drugs, so you do like get that good foundation of muscle from the powerlifting because you're using literally every muscle in your body to get the fucking weight up. So I think it is definitely a good stepping stone for anybody to start with. The only thing is you do have to relearn how you're training.
Right.
The mechanics in powerlifting, you have to be so specific with how you are squatting, deadlifting, benching, so you don't going to get
Especially
hurt.
in
At
multiply.
this stage of your elevation, you
Yeah.
need to fire this muscle and this.
Yep.
There's
Exactly,
the
and you
stage-
have to
yeah.
get below parallel in your
Yeah,
squats.
yeah.
You have
Yep.
to pause the bar, you know. So
Yeah,
there's
like
so many more
so
details.
many cues. Like I said, especially in like multiply too. Like learning how to train in the gear compared to training, you know, as a raw lifter, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You know,
Remember
like
how much I used to hate the Smith machine when you first put me on that thing?
Yeah.
I was
Do
like,
you
I hate this
yeah.
fucking
Do you
fixed
like it now,
barbell,
though?
and now I love it.
Yep.
But I was so
Yeah.
used to like, you know, I needed to have the barbell going where I was going, and
Right.
I'm like, okay, now I'm isolating my quads.
Yeah. So maybe that's something.
No,
that,
I'm
you
not
know,
just trying to move a whole lot of weight.
Yeah, maybe I think I that's probably the first thing I did. I think with you is put you on the Smith machine because it's so much easier to isolate a muscle
Yeah.
because you're so used to doing your way, you know. So we had to break that shit. You were so used to this is what I do, and I still see her doing that shit sometimes. Like you see her like her knees are going out, she's trying to get lower.
well, it's how the hips break too.
Exactly.
You know, on an organics barbell squat versus a Smith machine is a whole different kind of body mechanic too.
So I personally don't even do squats anymore, like barbell squats with any of my athletes. None of them. I mean, I just don't think so
I did
because
them in the off season last year, but I think that's probably how I ended up getting hurt
Yeah.
too, because I was it was not. It's
Well-
not easy not to put more weight on.
exactly.
and you're using too much core.
Yeah.
Yes,
For
exactly.
bodybuilding, it
You're
makes
bracing.
no sense to do heavy deadlifts or heavy barbell squats at all.
Yeah.
Unless
I don't do it.
unless you're going to be in open bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because then
Unless
it doesn't
you want that
matter.
giant core.
You can have a giant core. As long as you know how to vacuum, you're
Exactly.
fine. Like
Exactly.
you're good.
But if you're a men's physique, classic physique,
Yeah.
dude,
Absolutely not.
My waist is still a little bit bigger, and I think he just got nailed on his fucking waist this past season.
Yeah?
This motherfucker's waist is smaller than mine, smaller than all of ours together probably, and he still got slammed by it at the top level.
Right.
And I think if he did, 5+ years of powerlifting, it would be even bigger than it
That'd be
is.
shot, yeah.
You know? And I
Yeah,
think-
but I mean, like if he did 5 years of powerlifting, you'd be an open bodybuilder.
Yeah,
let's just be fair.
Yeah.
Like that's where you, with your stature,
sure.
you'd be open bodybuilder because of the density you'd have to go up from there. Where like if I look back at it, I probably should have shot for a bigger class than men's physique when I first started. But I originally I got hurt. And I was like, all right, well, I need to rehab this. Let's do bodybuilding to get to my absolute leanest muscle mass and then go back to powerlifting as a stronger human because I figured out how much muscle I actually have. I just never went back to powerlifting.
you and me both, man. Literally, it's what it was.
Right.
I ruptured my patellar tendon,
Right.
and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go into bodybuilding, into men's physique too.
Right.
So.
Right.
So I feel like all of you guys kind of made that switch, and you really haven't looked back. Is that?
Right.
Is that?
Yeah, I have no desire.
I still think about it.
Yeah.
I do. I think about it because I'm like,
I still
damn.
pick apart everyone else's technique at the gym.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I'm
like-
still looking like
I was always chasing the 500 bench raw.
Yeah.
And
I was
like,
going for the 700 deadlift.
Yeah.
I was trying to chase you.
How close did you get to 700?
So in my meet, I only ever got 600. My last meet was a deadlift only meet, and my opener was 600. Smoked it like it was nothing, but I tore my hand open and I was just bleeding everywhere, and I was just done. I couldn't hook.
Wrap it up.
I did. But I couldn't just hook it, and I was just bleeding everywhere, and I just was like, okay.
Gotcha.
But like in the gym, yeah, I pulled around 650. But again, that's a big thing.
So 600 on record.
Yes, but that was about to say, that was one thing I was gonna get at is what you do in the gym doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
What you do on the platform is what counts. Okay. So yeah, I could say, oh, I did this in the gym, but no one fucking cares.
Yeah.
It's what matters is the meat. But but like
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I was so into squatting, guys. Oh my god, I'd do 5-6 plates, not even lying, for like 20 fucking reps. Like box squat, like with the bench, I would do 20 fucking reps. But then you put me, I lost like 20 pounds. I was like, oh, I'm smart, I lost 20 pounds. Bro, I barely did 500 after that, and I did do 500 in the meet. But dude, it blew my fucking back out. It was rough.
That was probably your technique.
Oh, 100%, dude. I'm tight hips, I'm unflexible, and I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna throw this shit around. And
You
I
see a
said,
bodybuilder doing squats.
was
good
tough.
morning,
You
just
can tell, yeah.
You know what? I won 3 of them and I retired. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was it.
there you go.
That was it.
Take
My
your
third
winning.
one, I was actually the most hurt. When I beat Gage or whatever, I was most hurt because the second pound for me actually blew my back out. I did 500 squats down at the bottom, and I just felt something, and they didn't catch it in time, and I just dropped it. And the second one, I did 495. That was my official. And then when I went back, it was when I nailed it one more time. But
that was one thing that I was going to circle back to what Jen talked about was the camaraderie of powerlifting. Excuse me. That's one thing I've taken with it and tried to bring into bodybuilding, especially with our team.
Yeah.
Is, when you train with a crew of guys and gals, you're pretty much looking out for them like their life, your life or their life depends on you. Because, like I said, I was spotting guys benching and squatting 1,000 pounds, and I had to make sure that they didn't die. And that's why with our team, I'm very adamant about everyone training together, everyone supporting each other, because in powerlifting, that's what it is. And I know that y'all can definitely vouch for that for sure. That's the one thing I
When
take
you're
away
training
from.
with a crew, you're not done until everyone is
Oh
done.
yeah, it's an 8-hour workday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
No way.
Oh no, it's dead serious.
oh yeah,
In-
sometimes.
in Georgia, I would get there at 9 a.m. and then I would literally be there till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon because you didn't leave until everyone was done squatting.
Wow.
And I'm
Running the
squatting and loading,
monolift.
running the mono.
The funniest
everything.
videos to me, bro, is when like they do one squat and they'll put out a chair, the videos, and they sit in the chair for like 5 minutes. And
Oh
then
yeah, your rest periods are much
like,
longer.
You sit down, and they start drinking, sit on their phone. That's so funny. You guys see the guy? He just knocked out some kid in the gym because this kids were doing a prank, and the guy was like, "Okay, we want you to bench your max weight, whatever." So there's 2 kids behind him, they're videotaping it, and he goes to bench, and he went up, and the kids walked away.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
And so a guy came over, went up, and the guy went up and knocked him out. I can send you guys a video later.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
He made it. They thought it was funny just walking away when he hit 400 pounds on his fucking chest, 4 plates, and he was like, he just knocked him out. It was so funny. I was laughing.
Yeah, he got pinned and they just walked away. I was like, that's what I'm saying. They're like, it's dangerous, but like you need to have people there that are actually going to keep you safe. And that was one thing I was gonna say about training with Joe is we had a great crew at Grind Fit. Shout out to Grind Fit, rest in peace. We really did have an awesome group of lifters, and I think that we were kind of the ones that set the tone for powerlifting in Sarasota. I'm just gonna say it. We did for a long time. We were the ones that ran shit in Sarasota when it came to powerlifting.
I don't really know anyone else today besides Gage. That was it.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
mean,
and Gage. I remember
When
we
did that
talked about
close?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember when I moved down here, that's the gym I was going to look into, and then it was like not
Well, see,
there.
I moved to Atlanta right before it
It was
closed.
longer than that.
2018.
I moved down in
2022. Had to be 2022.
2018 was when
he-
it opened.
No, he's been closed longer than that because I sold his house like maybe the beginning of COVID, maybe like 2021.
Well, I remember 2021 when I started my business, and I remember Mike used to do the wrestling shit out of there for a while.
Yeah.
And like it was the whole thing. I was gonna try to like buy the gym. I would never bought it, but whatever. He was just selling equipment.
He had decent equipment.
It wasn't bad. The
I
equipment
bought
was
his
pretty
dumbbells.
Good. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you need to rent?
Yeah, his equipment was pretty good. But either way, he seemed like he was a nice guy trying to do the right thing. Probably just, didn't. It's hard.
It's hard owning a gym.
Very
For
hard in
sure.
this
There's a
business.
lot
That's
of
what people always
challenges.
ask me, and like ask him,
Well,
like, when are you guys gonna open up a gym? I'm like,
There were things with that gym
so much
too
overhead.
that could have been done differently.
so much
Let's be
overhead. We have
honest.
no overhead really in our business right now. So what's the point in owning a gym when we can, work with fucking Tommy at Muscle Sound? Like we have all that equipment there. Tommy's so cool. We got, Patriot Fitness over there's getting new owners, which are super cool with us. So that's how I'm gonna come. But maybe when I'm like a millionaire and I fucking chump change whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, Grind Fit was awesome just because like I said, like, we'd all roll up and just 5 p.m. I was squatting, we were benching, everyone was supporting each other.
Yep.
Like I said, like we kind of policed the gym too, honestly. Like anybody who was coming in, starting trouble, we kind of like kicked them out. We're like, no, you're not gonna do that here. Yeah.
I wasn't even living up here at the time. I was living in Northport.
Yeah, he was
I drive
traveling.
45 minutes each way.
That, yeah.
Yeah, he was
So you
traveling
guys
here.
have obviously been in both worlds. What are you gonna pick? Bodybuilding or powerlifting?
What do you mean?
What are you gonna pick if you had to pick one?
Bodybuilding for sure, because and bodybuilding is a lifestyle too. So that's a difference too. Like I feel like powerlifting is a sport; it's not a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is a lifestyle. It's like we were saying; it's 24/7. It's what you're doing outside of the gym counts just as much as what you're doing in the gym. Yeah. And powerlifting, it's like you walk in, you train, you go home, take a nap, eat some cheeseburgers, whatever. The rest of your life is pretty normal, right?
You get a refeed.
Yeah.
The whole rest of your life is a refeed.
Yeah.
What about you? Powerlifting, bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I wish I would have got into it sooner and maybe done like a hybrid where, I would switch off in off season and maybe do a meet.
Yeah.
I might do a retirement meet at some point. Gotcha. I don't know. I have a lot more that I want to accomplish in bodybuilding before I can do that, because once I commit to that, I won't be a men's physique anymore. Yeah. Let's just be honest. Like, I'm going to have to go to classic at least.
Yeah.
And I know that day's going to come anyway because of weight.
Like, you're a big motherfucker, bro. If you get your pro card in physique, I'm going to be surprised. I think you might want to start thinking about classic now, bro. I'm just saying.
How close are you to the weight cap?
You've been trying for how many years?
I'm way under on regular physique for pro.
Arms than me.
Yeah.
You got bigger arms than me, bro. And I got hammered on my arms. I'm telling you, man. Like, it's no joke. They want these guys like Dustin, man. Like
He's smaller than me.
Smaller than him. Honestly, he was probably one of the biggest guys on the stage. Most conditioned, but probably one of the biggest guys. And it's really hard, man. And with your amount of muscle you have, classic, bro, is like I wish I would have did classic last year. I think we would have had a better outcome. We would have won. My leg, I was looking. It was just a better fit for us, right?
Right.
So maybe, but whatever. I think still you got room to grow. You can do maybe one more season in physique, see where it goes. Talk to the fucking judges and be like, listen, do you think I can do classic? And
I've talked to Dustin before, and if I was 5 years younger or so, I would eventually want to do open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 100%.
Because I think I could get there with my build. I could get there, but I don't know, man. I'll be 39 in January.
I forgot you're old.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but
I'm 5 years older than he.
But Alex,
I'm turning 40 in January. Okay,
putting on another 50, 60 pounds of muscle at that age, like, I got a son. You don't know what's gonna happen. Like, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not gonna like go ahead and say, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, you're not chasing size at this
point.
Yeah.
Right. Not that kind of size.
No.
Like a little bit of size.
Yeah, I'm kind of where you're at, and I'm sure Dustin's gonna get there eventually. Like, we're at a point, it's like we do play with these compounds. Like, we do have to do shit to do fucking shows, and eventually you have to know when to enough is enough. And I feel like I started so early in my career, like 23, when I started taking shit. I done at 30, right? I'm fine with that. But some of these people go too much, man. They go too far. He started way late in his career, like way late. Same with you, I think.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, but you were also in powerlifting, so I don't know what you're doing back then on that. But the morals, bro, I don't know. You just never know. And like, you have to know when to call it,
Well, and I think it's less about the PEDs and more about the size.
Yeah.
Like, after you're an adult, like, your body's only going to grow to a certain point unless you eat like a fat ass, or you know what I mean? Like, there's many variables, but even like that, like, let's say that I was 250 in fat, like, it's still a problem.
Yeah.
Or I'm 300 pounds in fat.
Well, how much you weighing right now?
Like AM weight, like between 225 and 228
How
fasted.
tall are you? Like 5'9"?
5'10".
5'10"?
Yeah.
So that's still obese. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Your
but
heart
like
still has
50
to pump.
pounds. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Your heart still has to
Yeah.
pump all that.
They
So-
want me at like 170 if you look at the charts. Like, it's huge. And like, I'm still going to grow for another 7 weeks before I go into health phase. So like, I'm going to get over, that 230 mark for sure, AM fasted. But like Ryan Terry, he cuts down from 228 to 202. So I think I have 209 on my pro weight cap when I get there. And like I told Alex before, like, even at, as lean as I am in off season, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Easy lose 30 pounds.
How much did we lose for your show?
Well, my last
265 or something.
my last off season, yeah, I
Big
got
ass
up
mama.
to 265.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my lowest weigh in for competition was the last competition. That was 206.
Yeah. So think about that, bro. That's 54 pounds that we lost for the
And like
shows.
he's not fat
No, he's shredded.
compared
Bitch,
to
the
like,
motherfucker's
you know what
got
I
a
mean?
six-pack at
Your
260.
your average gym goer, like he's still like fit at 260. So that's why when people are always asking me about getting into this, especially powerlifters transfer over, they're like, so what do you honestly like think I'm going to lose? And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to tell you, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's gonna
Like-
fucking freak you out.
Like the first time I cut, I lost 44 pounds.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot, and they thought I was a lean powerlifter,
Yeah.
and I'm like, nah, man, I was fat. Like if you look at it back at it, like I was
Oh
fat.
yeah, looking at my pictures, I was like, man,
Yeah.
freaking, look like the kicker from the movie The Replacements.
Yeah.
I was like,
Because
God.
that's the thing is bodybuilders, we
So
chase
bad.
the look. We don't chase the
Yeah.
weight. We don't chase nothing else.
Right.
Like, Dustin's every show, we honestly think we got better every single fucking show.
Yeah.
And 206 was a good
absolutely.
weight, even
I
though
thought it was good too.
it was a good fucking look. If
Right.
arguably our best look, it was our best
Right.
placing, and it was the best positive feedback we got from the
and
judges.
The crazy thing is, like, so him and I hold our weight different. So, like, at 206, he looks probably like he's walking around at like 240. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm the same way. When I'm cut down to stage lean and I'm 190 something, people are like, you're easily 225, and I'm like, no, listen. But that's why like him and I might be eventually suited for classic, even if we can't fill out our men's physique weight cap. Because you have 217.
Yeah.
Imagine how big you have to get to 217 desk shredded.
Oh yeah.
Like you might be like 280.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I gotta get moved up to classic, I'm 206 right now. I got 11 pounds for 217 for my max weight in men's physique, and then on top of that, I have 21 pounds for my max weight of classic. So I got to 265, decent shape,
Yep.
all the way down to 206. Like you're saying, I gotta get to like 280.
Yep.
To put on some even.
and that's got to feel uncomfortable. I know you
Dude,
were feeling uncomfortable there. for a
260
minute.
or 265 sucked. I had a sleep apnea fucking attack. That
Yep.
shit was scary as
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
I've been through firefights. I've had fucking mortars raining down and all that type
Yep.
of shit.
Yep.
I'm not as scared as I was that night when I had a sleep apnea.
Stop breathing,
attack.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
man,
Yep.
fuck that. From that moment on, I believe I like upped my cardio without telling you.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing more cardio.
Well,
I
and
dropped my,
that's
like 10 pounds in like a week.
back to my point.
Fuck
It's
that.
it's less about really the PDs and more about the size you put on.
Yeah.
Like your human body is just not at our
Yeah.
height. It's just not supposed to be 300 pounds.
know.
So I mean, like you're asking your heart to do so much. You're asking your organs to do so much, and then you're going up and down. Every year you're going up and down. So like it's just a lot to do once you get to that age. But then you started late. I started late. So does that mean we have less miles on our body? I don't know. Dexter Jackson won at 45. Who knows?
You know what I think too, and this is something fun to talk about. Like we don't even know the health consequences of what's going to happen. Honestly, if you really think about it,
Arnold's still kicking at 80,
Okay.
whatever.
Simmons
Okay,
had
well,
to
Arnold
be like
wasn't fucking
70
Ronnie.
something.
Arnold
Yeah.
wasn't these open bodybuilders now,
Right.
right?
He's classic. You know what I mean?
Listen,
He was
Okay,
classic
was not
size.
taking nearly the drugs that Ronnie Coleman was taking and Dorian Yates. Let's be honest, right? Even Dorian Yates was on the smaller side. You got Ronnie Coleman and then straight mass monsters after that, right?
Right.
So we don't even know like the repercussions of what bodybuilding's going to do for the next 20 years because they're still 55. What Ronnie's Coleman 60 maybe?
Well, Jay looks good.
Okay.
Jay looks
Jay
good
doesn't
now.
look bad.
He looks
Okay,
good.
but, are these guys going to last till 70 to 80? When are they going to start having some problems? Right. That's where like I feel like this is so unknown because nobody used this amount of drugs.
Right.
Think about it. They didn't use
Well-
this shit in the 70s or 80s or 90s even.
And I feel like now though it's safer if you let it be safer. Just because we have more
Better blood
information.
work.
We have more information. I mean, when Ronnie was winning championships, what was the internet? Dial up? You know what I mean? Like the information that you got from a prep didn't go to the internet.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have these resources where you were sharing stuff like that. Every time anybody does a prep, there's new information.
Yeah.
So how many preps are done a year by individuals that you get new that much more data every year that just wasn't circulating back then.
Even just doing blood work. How many people are actually doing blood work?
They didn't do
then?
that back then.
Right.
How many
Yeah.
old school
They didn't know
bodybuilders did you go to in the gym and they'd be like, what do you mean anti-estrogen?
No, I know. Yeah.
Like,
I was taking
what?
these pills with some people on it, bro. What do you mean?
What are you
And
talking
donating
about?
blood, too,
I've
that's a
never
big thing.
taken one of those.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, you have to read blood work to figure out if you need to donate.
But what
or
I'm
not,
saying
you
in
know?
general, like old school guys, they weren't going to a Red Cross or whatever to donate blood. They're probably, they're doing it themselves, trying to find a way to get that blood out.
They weren't
Well,
getting
they
their
didn't
blood
even know.
out.
They
They
didn't
weren't
know.
doing it.
Yeah, they weren't doing.
They weren't taking this. They weren't taking anti-estrogens. They weren't taking any of the supports. They were just taking drugs.
Yeah.
There was just no other. They weren't eating right. Like some of these guys are eating cheeseburgers all off season to gain 100 pounds.
What was
on
it?
drugs?
What's his name? Who was eating the cheeseburgers and stuff? Who had like the constant heart issues? I don't know
Well,
if there was a bodybuilder.
and some of these guys,
think
like
of his name.
Jay Cutler, used to kind of fib and say that he was eating that shit.
But how
So his competition looked a
Well,
little off. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing: is like this is what I'm trying to get at, guys. Like,
Head games.
Yeah.
these guys are still fucking young. We don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
Yep.
are these guys gonna start dying off at 70 or 80 or 90 years old? Like the normal person.
Well,
how old is a normal person? How long are you
74
supposed to last?
male, 74.
74.
is
Okay.
average
Well,
age.
these guys are just not even. They're still in their 50s.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen when they hit 65, 62, 63? When are we gonna start?
But
I don't know.
I'll challenge you with this real quick because I don't want to get. I like this straddle the fence that comes to this. COVID shots. So for all the drugs out there, what's this doing now? So I mean, like
Blood clots are through the
we,
roof.
we can talk about PEDs all we want, but I mean, how many other medical things are out there that you got to worry about?
Just vaccinations as a whole, not even just COVID.
Right. So I mean, like, I try not to think about like what it's going to do down the road, just because there's so many other things that we can like just say, all right, I need to worry about this, 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 and this.
Freaking cereal.
So we're like,
an
I
issue.
feel like bodybuilding, if you do it right, is healthier than living a normal life.
I think
Because
so.
for the
I
most
probably
part, you're
agree with that.
I think
eating.
we at least
you're-
take precautions.
Well,
I
you're,
probably agree
you're
with that,
eating really good. You're getting your fiber in. You're
doing
eating
cardio.
right. You're
Your
eating
heart's good.
veggies. I mean,
Better
like
than
I didn't eat any
McDonald's and-
vegetables when I was a powerlifter ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like
No.
it wasn't a thing. Why would I eat vegetables?
Vegetables, that's
Right,
great.
That's
right,
fillers, bro. I don't need
right.
that shit.
Well, and
We
off,
didn't do any cardio. Our
off
cardio
season,
was training.
right.
There was
Yeah.
no
I,
cardio.
I wasn't taking digestive enzymes. I wasn't taking health supplements.
Yeah.
Like I take like 30 pills a day, man, to stay healthy.
yeah.
Like
No, I agree. Bodybuilding is so healthy if you let it be healthy. Like, and I think a lot of people are scared nowadays to even take like TRT and all that stuff. And I try to tell people, man, like don't be a little bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't be a
Well,
little bitch. We're trying to,
the flip
Needles
side.
don't hurt that bad, guys.
Well, it's not even that. The challenge that if you go get your blood work done, let's say you have low testosterone, but your estrogen is where it's going to be as you get older and it's going to get higher.
Yep.
Estrogen is actually what gives you your heart problems because estrogen is what builds water in your heart. Like that's how you retain water. So if you don't get your estrogen and testosterone under control as you get older, you're going to have heart problems from the estrogen. You're going to have ED from the estrogen.
Yep.
Everybody thinks it's from the testosterone. It's from letting the estrogen run wild. That's why these old school bodybuilders that didn't take anti-estrogens, heart attacks,
Yeah.
heart problems.
Yeah.
So like you really need to look at that blood work. You need to look at all the hormones, not just your testosterone.
yeah.
That estrogen is so important. And that's where a lot of people are like, why don't we do TRT? Because it's, test does this and this. No. Estrogen does this, this, and this.
I don't know if you heard me. You probably heard me speak on the podcast about how important estrogen blockers are. Like
Yep.
that was a big thing that I learned probably when I was coaching Jen. That first year I coached Jen, and this is why I try not to get on Matt Jensen's case too much because we're all fucking learning, bro. Like
Yep.
every coach in the game, no matter where you're at, is learning. How to Rambot is, everyone is, right? So the big thing I learned with them is estrogen blockers. How much is too much? How much is too little? I think at first prep, we probably did a little bit too much estrogen blockers. We can confidently agree on that. But the second show, we barely did any. Literally almost any. And she
I
came
honestly
in.
forgot to take it most of the time.
That's what I'm saying. So we did pretty much, and guys, it was like nothing, right? So a big difference between that show and that show. Look how much better she looks. So, and I think
That's
estrogen
men and women
blockers-
too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But estrogen is your ability to lose fat and to gain fat, and that's the biggest thing that people fuck up. And how many people have we probably all gotten or seen blood work from that are completely natural guys, 27, 28, that are like 200? Like there's something in the food. There's something in
That's
the
what I was
food.
gonna say, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's killing us in America, and that's what RFK. Thank God, hopefully, Trump 2024. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, RFK hopefully gets in because he wants to fix all that. Like, why do we have the back of our Trix bottle, our cereal, right? Why is there 57 fucking ingredients?
Dude.
You look at Russia, there's like 7.
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
Well, look at sauces too. I know that's one thing you talk about a lot is your sauces. You gotta look at the back and look at the extra ingredients in sauces,
But
because
even the meat and stuff too, like
Oh, yeah.
what they're feeding,
Steroids.
the animals that we're eating,
Yeah.
that all comes back to us.
We could probably do a whole topic on how if you did hormone regulation at a young age, let's say like 18, suicides would go down, depression would go down, all of those things. You know how many kids I've met that they'll get their tests checked at 18, 19, low test, and these people are telling me, depressing stories, like they're thinking about suicide and stuff. They get on tests and it's gone.
Yeah, I wonder
it's like it
why.
never happened.
Well, how depressed do we all get when we get off like cycle for sure? Like that, you're gonna have that phase
post-cycle
where you
blues.
get off like 200 milligrams, then you balance out, right? But I remember I used to come completely off, bro. Before 2021, I used to come completely off. Do my cycle and get off.
Well, that used to be the
Zombie.
science, right?
Zombie. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was tough. So I think the food definitely. I know we went way off track from powerlifting.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun because
But it does correlate with it
Yeah.
though, because your food does matter not just in bodybuilding but in powerlifting. So it's important that we do talk about these things because it's something that everyone needs to have on their radar.
Yeah.
So I think we need to talk about the importance of whole food because it affects not just bodybuilding but powerlifters
and your entire life and how
for
long
sure.
you think you're going to live.
Yeah,
So do you
exactly.
think, knowing the knowledge you guys have now, going back in time, do you think you'd be better powerlifters if you knew the nutrition behind it?
Oh,
now?
100%.
without a doubt.
100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I would be such a better powerlifter. Just so many dumbass mistakes I made, over the years. Like, I mean, like in terms of like even ego lifting, I broke my arm in half fucking squatting, chasing a 5-pound PR.
No way, go behind you.
Oh yeah, so I went from I squatted 400 at the time, and
video?
there's a video.
you posted
Yeah.
it, God.
Oh, I'll send it to you later. So
Surprised I haven't seen
400-pound squat, and then like 2 weeks later, I was like, I'm gonna go 405. Went for 405, got pinned. CrossFitters were talking shit, so I told them to fuck off. So I just put the pins up high in the squat rack, and I just went for it again. And I'm coming up, but I'm like literally getting pinned forward. Like I'm about to get stapled. So what do? I drive my elbows forward to try and bring my chest up.
Yeah.
And in that process, I snap my humerus, and then the weight just falls me. Thank God I put those pins up. Otherwise, that weight would have fell straight on my back, and I'd
killed you.
probably be a quadriplegic.
Wow.
But yeah, and I'm just crawling out with my arm just like this. I'm going, oh my God, oh my God.
Were you freaking out?
Oh yeah, I thought I had dislocated. And then I got picked up by the ambulance at the gym and then got taken to Riverside Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. And they're like, oh yeah, you snapped your arm. I'm like, oh cool. So they put a bunch of metal in me.
Christ.
And I went back to work like a week later.
How was the pain?
So this was all at Planet Fitness, right?
This was a gym called...
That's why you should be using the
Look
Smith
alarm.
machine.
yeah, that's why you use a Smith machine.
That's why we need a Smith
Yeah,
machine.
the luck alarm went off right when I stopped my arm. No, this was at a gym called Columbus Lifting Company behind the Budweiser plant in Columbus, Ohio. It's now called like Worthington Fitness. But yeah, no, I will say snapping my arm in half was least painful compared to the patellar tendon rupture. The recovery from the patellar tendon rupture is by far one of the worst things I've ever gone through in my entire life. And I don't wish it upon anybody. Like, the rehab for that was terrible. At least when I broke my arm, it's like, yeah, I was in bed for a week. They gave me some funky painkillers. I took it for 3 days, and then I just switched to a leave. I couldn't lift, anything upper body, so I just trained legs. I used the safety squat bar, and I had people just put the bar on the rack for me, load plates on, and I just trained legs for months until I was cleared to train again. And the first thing I did was I pulled 500 pounds because I was like,
I wonder why you had the patellar tendon rupture.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No. Get into the truth here, guys.
The patellar
Overtraining your
tendon,
legs, maybe?
to be fair, the patellar tendon rupture was because I fell at my job and it was
shit.
dark outside, and I fell on top of my leg. That was fun.
Jesus.
But good times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm different. So I always bring up my chest hair, but like it
was
was,
like, yeah,
it was
you tore
fucking
your back.
brutal. It was brutal, but it wasn't that bad. I don't know. I just got a little vacation. I got to do legs every day, pretty much. I literally did legs every fucking day, and I went to the gym the next day. So I took no leave, no painkillers, no nothing. It pained, but it wasn't too bad.
I feel like upper body injuries are, I hate to say it, I'm gonna say this now, knock on wood. I feel like upper body injuries are, you're easy, you can drive your car probably,
Exactly.
but with your leg, like, especially being my right leg, I couldn't drive. I was taking Ubers to EOS to train. And if you saw me, I know you probably did because you would be at EOS, I was on a little walker, walking around, going to each machine, Jesus. But I still kept going. And, that's the one thing I will say with injuries is it definitely did kind of teach me how to push through. Yeah. And I think with prep that I'm learning is, especially with these past 2 hurricanes, is you have to keep pushing, you have to keep going. And, I'm grateful for these challenges, even though I say that, because there's been times where I'm like, I'd want to stop, but at the same time, it makes me feel alive to know that I have these hurdles and I'm able to get past them. I'm grateful for those.
So there's a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
So speaking about injuries, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is a question that I've been kind of like stewing up right now. But you've been seeing a lot of bodybuilders. I guess the worst injury you can get is death, right?
Sure. Yep.
Right?
Sure.
Unhealthy shit happening. A lot of bodybuilders have been passing away a lot recently, right? Could be from fucking gear, or we're having a lot of heart failures and stuff like that.
Sure.
High estrogen, maybe not managing that, or whatever the case may be in that regard. But you don't really, on this side of understanding bodybuilding, we don't really hear much on the powerlifting side. Like how many deaths?
They're just getting hurt. Like,
Yeah, you don't see a lot. But so looking at the two, I think a lot of the bodybuilding deaths are water cuts and
Diuretics.
Diuretics
That
related.
happened to a guy in
And I
California
think
recently, didn't it?
Yeah,
There's a guy,
well, I think
his
that's
name.
most of it, because that can really stress your heart. That can do a lot of things to your body that you shouldn't be doing, especially when they take too many of them.
Exactly.
And I think that happens a lot. And the reason a lot of people do that is conditioning.
Yeah.
They're not shredded
You
enough.
weren't conditioned to
Right.
begin with.
So
This
they're
ain't
going to
do
take a handful of diuretics and see ya. I mean,
No,
like
literally
that's
see ya.
yeah.
You
I mean, like
will
that's
not have
one of the
blood to
most
pump.
harmful things you can do, because it's such a quick manipulation. You don't take those in powerlifting. Why would you want to be dry?
No.
You're going to do a water cut, but it's all forced water. So you're going to start at your 2 gallons and go down to your 1 gallon and go down to your spitting in a cup instead of drinking it.
Jolly
And that's
Ranchers
about
and
and
spitting in a cup.
that's
And-
about
But
it.
then you hydrate before the meet.
As soon as you weigh in, you're going
yeah.
to drink half a gallon of water with salt in it, and then you're going to go
Pedialyte,
eat
I mean,
pancakes.
It's just like an overnight, water cup.
Yeah.
You fucking
Yeah.
pancakes.
So I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest difference between the deaths. It's like, it's not going to be the PEDs. Like you said, that's going to be more long term, and it's going to depend on all of the health things you do around it, like the health supplements, the diet, how large you let yourself get, how long. Because I mean, there's 80-year-old powerlifters taking drugs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just a thing. So I mean, they're 80, so they've already made it past the life expectancy of an average man.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's really how you live your life, genetics, a lot of those things. I think you see more of the deaths in bodybuilding because of the water manipulation.
I
Right.
agree. Or you see these big, like the or the Golem guy. You know the Golem guy that just passed away like last month.
Yeah.
He was like the next Rich Piana. Dude, I mean, come on. Do you see that guy in person, bro? His arm. I'm not lying.
I met him. Yeah.
It's fucking big. It was like, it's like, I feel like there's two reasons, right? One, you abuse fucking drugs, which if you
not
use anything in
cycling
life,
off.
you're gonna die. They're not cycling off. They're just blasting and keeping up and up and up.
Exactly.
Or two, diuretics. Like the one woman who passed away. I know George Peterson. He passed away. God rest his soul.
Yep.
One of my buddies. He passed away. 2 days before the Olympia, and we don't know exactly what was going on.
I was in the
with
same
that.
hotel. I was at the Olympia.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, we don't know what was going to go on with that. I'm not speculating, but could it be diuretic use, or he brought his conditioning to the next level?
Dude, his conditioning was always next
It was
level.
unfucking fathomable in how conditioned this. It's the most conditioned person consistently I've ever seen. Besides, even
And
Hot.
he was looking at, Sebum was there, but he was looking at fucking overtaking and getting second place.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was that guy.
Nuts. I know. He was right there every year, every 212 or whatever. Remember the 212 for a while there.
Yeah, he did.
He could have been the next 212 champion.
So
He probably would have beat Sean.
Some
that year,
of these guys that die in off season, because Gollum, he never competed. You know what I mean? He was just
a big boy.
mass monster, whatever. I don't know that they're not abusing other drugs, man.
Yeah.
Like Rich,
was blown.
right.
He was-
You can't have both.
Yeah,
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Or
You know
if
what I
you're
mean?
drinking
Like
heavily, right?
right,
You're fucking gonna have some problems.
I haven't had alcohol in years.
Me neither.
Like it's not a thing that's part of my life. But especially in bodybuilding,
Yeah.
like you're just adding too many factors in there. And I think a lot of these guys just don't. Golem was like 30. So I mean, he was early 30s maybe.
Dude, the
He was
motherfucker's
young,
like 400 fucking
but he
50 pounds.
he was young. So like I don't know that everybody always considers that.
Yeah.
They just keep living their life the same way, and they're stressing their body in too many different directions. You can't do it. I don't care what athlete you are. Like you can't put you,
100%.
and even if you're not an athlete, like drug users in general, they take a mixture of different drugs. They're probably going to die.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to Matt Dimmel from Westside. That's what caused him to die. He pretty much got loaded up at 8-ball and injected it, and his heart exploded.
Jesus.
But he was also a giant man. He was like 380 pounds. He was a
Size.
menace.
See, so I'm going through that right now. It's like, do I love the way like I look and I feel like 220, 230, like on a little bit extra? And guys, to me, it's like literally 500 tests, like maybe like 150 deca. And I actually never done that often. It's just been prep, but I would just bump my test up to 500. And I love the way that feels, but I'm kind of in my head scared about what the future could be if I keep going at 30. That's just me personally.
You have
And I
time
know
to
that I'm
decide.
fine. And I know that I'm fine, and I'm
Yeah.
probably going to be fine. I get my blood work done, I'm good, but it still scares me.
Yeah.
Like that's just where I'm at. I think that's why I haven't made that step into like going to classic and like doing all those kind of things. I want to be healthy. I want to live a long time.
I think a good one to watch is Ian. Valerie.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, he qualified for the Olympia last year and just called it.
Pulled out, yeah.
He said, I'm ready to desize. And that's what he did. He just started eating when he was hungry. That's it. And, he lost like 20 pounds like that. I think eventually you have to say, all right, I have this many miles. I'm at this age. I need to be sub 250.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what's important is, eventually desizing. Could we go to open for like a year or two? Probably.
Maybe.
And probably be okay. As long as we were like, all right, listen, 45 now. We did it. Time to decisize. By 50, I'm going to be back down close to 200 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much like 210 right now, and still I feel like I don't know. I'm very, very weird about that kind of stuff. Like I love bodybuilding, and I would love to keep pushing, but I just feel like eventually, you just don't know. I don't know. You don't know if you're born with a weak heart. You don't know anything. So
well, and then body dysmorphia. Like everybody's got it in some sort of way. Yeah. Whether it's after prep, you feel fat, or whatever it is. For me, well, for me, it's not that. I never really care about the fluffiness. It's I'll get used to how my size looks. And I'm like, damn, I'm not big anymore.
True. Yeah.
I was big like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
But that feeling too of being that big. So like when I first got to to 245 for this off season, I was breathing hard a little bit, all that kind of shit. I'm fine now. I'm perfect. I'm maintaining 245. I'm still 245. Yep. And I don't want to get any heavier. 265, that was heaviest I've ever been in my fucking life. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm trying to chase a little bit of size, even though that's not necessarily my goal, but I am trying to chase some numbers on a scale. I am trying to get up. And then, maturing and going through it, it's like, that's not beneficial for me. I know that it's not healthy for my body. I don't have to chase the size. I'm going to chase quality muscle and detail.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the position I'm in right now. If I want to be competitive as a pro bodybuilder, I have to put on a lot of size. And I was 185 in the offseason last year. I competed at 165. 185 was so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
That like this year I'd have to be pushing 200.
Right?
I was 200 pounds when I was pregnant. I don't ever want to go back there. So what do I do? Like, do I continue to put on muscle? Do I just maintain? And do I just say, I'm done now that I've got my pro card? I'm like, kind of in that spot because I don't want to put on that much weight. I want to stay healthy,
Yeah.
I feel like if you put on 20, maybe 30 pounds of weight on your off season, that's about as far as you need to go to build some muscle underneath there.
Right.
You don't have to get to the extremes of putting on 50 plus pounds.
Exactly. I mean, we put on 17 pounds of stage weight from last year to this year.
Right.
And I mean, I used to compete, going back to powerlifting, I was in the 165 weight class. And I was probably like 163 or so at that time. And I got on stage at 165.
Yeah.
Completely shredded.
Yeah.
But like to be competitive with these big women up there,
You would
I
have to
don't
get
know.
massive. Dude, I'm telling you now, these bitches don't play. But these women's bodybuilders, man, and physique girls, they are fucking humongous.
They're
dude.
huge. And I just don't know
There's no weight
that's
cap.
where
They
I
don't
want to
give
be.
a fuck. I promise you right now, they're running shit. Like, they are not just running nothing.
Well,
right?
Jen, you're also fairly tall,
Like,
too.
they are
That's another thing, too, you got to consider is you're fairly tall. So for you like me.
I can carry the weight okay, but I don't feel good at that weight.
Right.
No. Well, to give you an idea, you remember I brought up Hunter Henderson and how she was at the Olympia for bodybuilding this year. She's one of the top women powerlifters. Her total's probably over 1,500.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Your average dude at a powerlifting meet doesn't do that.
My husband did it at 165.
I'm never doing that.
Right.
So.
Right. But your average, you go to powerlifting, most of the guys are like 13, 1,400. You know what I mean? Your elite level lifters are like, now I wouldn't say elite, but elite on a local level are over 1,500.
Right.
Under 1,800. Usually at a local meet, if you get an 1,800 pound total, you're going to win the meet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to double down where you guys said there. Is like, you don't need to put on 60 fucking pounds. Like,
you don't.
Out of every prep I've ever did, guys, I was maybe 220, 225 ever. That was it. And what do we hit? Like 194. That was my lowest. Before that, I was 197, I think, for my show before that. So, do that. What's that? 23 pounds. I mean, I stay in pretty good shape most of that 6-pack, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have to put on all that size. Now, if you know, if we got to do classic, we're gonna have to get fucking big. Women's bodybuilding, we know you're gonna have to get big, and that's where me and Jen are kind of talking through what we want to do in the future and what she wants to do, because it's hard, like, to make that commitment to gain into that
It's
next
like the
level.
risk reward too. Like,
Exactly.
is it worth it? Because
Exactly.
do I see myself being competitive at the Olympia stage at some point? I don't know. I'm already 44 years old. So is it worth it to go through that to get where?
To maybe get it to Olympia. I mean, I think you could. I think anyone could. It's just, it has to be a priority. You have to risk, and is doing that going to take away from your life expectancy too? Like, we don't know what's going on. Again, we had something come up just now we didn't really know about your entire fucking life that just came up, right? And we're working through that. So we don't know the repercussions of what's going to happen. And something small could trigger it. Same thing as what happened with us. So, you know, we'll work through it. But either way, I think you should get on stage even one time as a pro. One time.
I'll definitely do it. It's just a different drive. Like, you have that drive to get to the pro stage or get to the pro level. Now I'm there. I'm like, now what's next?
Right,
Olympia?
exactly.
Like, I don't know
Or a
about
pro
that. I
show
don't know that I
center,
want to
you know?
get that big. I don't, you know, but like, sure, we'll get to a pro show and see if we can place top 5 or something. I think I just need to set a goal like that.
Exactly.
Just a realistic goal.
But I don't think
Yeah.
that's a goal that we would ever put. You know what I'm saying? If we're doing something, we're going for first. Same with him. You know what I'm saying? And you know it.
And you know how I
know
get
it.
when I'm in prep too.
That's what
I'm not gonna have that second place mentality.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
counting her reps, right?
Yeah.
We were getting some reps in. She's doing her squats and shit. And I was like, what did I say? Did I start at 5th or 3rd place? I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I was like 3rd place. She's like, what the fuck? And she goes down again. I'm like 2nd place. She goes down again, 1st place. I'm like, where's the overall? Let's go. Over. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's sweet. That's a good motivator right
and
there.
that's what needs to happen. So one thing you said, you know, you were talking really heavily about like your mindset when you go in through the hurricane. We had somebody that pulled out on the team.
Yeah.
What do you think happened with that? And what is your advice to him to stay on it next time when shit happens? Because you had a lot of shit happen recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, this year has been really hard in a lot of ways. You know, my wife had a lot of health complications and dealing with that and still trying to be on track with prep. Obviously, back-to-back hurricanes and being without power, living out of a Yeti cooler was no fun. The car accident, that was another thing too. And just being out of work and financially being hit by that, like many of us here in Florida. But hearing about my teammate pulling out, it definitely was something that, you know, for a second, I was like, man, that sucks, because I'm looking at him who has been doing this for far longer than me. And I'm like, man, if he's going to pull out, then, and I'm looking at myself like, how am I going to do this? And then I'm like, no. You have been through so much. You will not stop. And then yesterday, and if I cry, I'm sorry, I was reminded on Facebook about one of my students who passed away from a brain tumor. And I remembered everything that Henry would always say to me when I see him in the hallways, like, you know, you can do it, Mr. Alex, I believe in you. It was just out of context. You just come up and say it to me. And I just started playing that on my head, and I was like, I cannot quit. But I guess my advice would be to him, my teammate who pulled out, is, you know, things happen. And again, I don't know the background of why he quit, so I can't speak into that. But all I can say is, you know, this is always going to be an uphill battle with prep. And now, mind you, this is my first show. I can't fully speak into it because I haven't been through the full trenches yet. You know, I'm just walking into the gates of hell right now. You know, we haven't gotten to the fire yet, but I can tell you that I'm going to keep pushing and keep going. And whatever the outcome is on stage is what it is. But I'm not gonna.
You know that you gave yourself 100%.
Yeah,
It doesn't get any easier. Like,
I mean, I came back from a broken arm. I came back from the patella rupture. You know, I've come back, you know, through far worse, and I just can't see myself pulling out of this.
Yeah.
So I guess without knowing the logistics of why he pulled out, I would just say you may have stopped doing this, but look into the future. Like, what can we do to build from this? Like, you know, but again, that's all I can really say and speak into, because I don't know the full reason, and out of respect for him, I'll just leave it at that.
But at the same time, if your heart's not in it and you can't give it 100%, like you have to have that all or nothing mindset in the sport. So if your heart's not in it and you can't, you're just, you know, you're not giving 100%, I can understand pulling out. Unfortunately, it's so close though. I feel like if you're that close, just fucking do it anyway.
See, but that's the thing. But going into what you're saying in terms of when your heart's not in it, there are moments, and there will always be moments through a prep.
Oh yeah.
To when your fucking heart is not in it. It's just gonna happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, and I'm sure you've experienced it as you're coming through here.
Well,
but then it's all about, you know, boiling down.
You listen up and one day closer.
You listen up to this.
One day closer.
You know.
One day
And
closer.
it's just like, what can I do to get past that? I gotta give myself a pep talk. I gotta call myself a bitch. Do I gotta look in the fucking mirror and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But you gotta reacquire your why, and that's hard to do sometimes when you're going through.
Yeah,
Certain
no,
How many times
absolutely.
have me and Joe talked about this when you're fucking done? I'm done. I'm not competing no more after this. This is my last show. I don't do this fucking shit.
Fuck this. I
Yep.
want to
Look at
take a
that fucking
flight.
smile.
Every time I
Yep.
take a flight, it fucks my peak up.
Yep.
prep,
I'll
right?
make notes. You know what I mean? Like how I'm feeling and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you
Like
should.
every single time. Because like some days you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
Like legit, you're like,
Yeah.
I think my body's
Feeling
doing
dead.
something it's not
Yeah.
supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I mean, that's just
Why is
part
my
of
pee
it.
this color?
It's trying to eat itself is what it's trying to do. Like your body's trying to eat itself. That's not normal. Like I'm smelling blueberries 3 blocks away, and I'm like, God damn, what's going on here? And I'm like, wait a second. This is how they found food back in the day. Like it wasn't a grocery store. This is how they found the damn berries.
Blueberry trap.
They were hungry enough to smell that shit. They knew where the mammoths were, man. They could smell them shits. You know what I mean? Like I'm there. I'm there. I can. My neighbor 8 blocks away is eating hot dogs right now. Like what's going on?
Oh my God.
But
So much
you
truth.
kept pushing.
Yeah.
So much
Well,
truth
and
to that.
like he said, like we all have things. You know, my father-in-law passed away my last prep.
Yeah, you and I talked about
Yeah,
this.
6 weeks before my national show. So like there was only like I'd already done a show. I'd won the overall already, but like there was only so much more I could push myself because of the responsibilities around that and the things going around that. Like, but I still did it. I still brought a better package. Yeah. I mean, like I've been through Ian, during like some sort of season. Lost my dad 2 years ago. Like he was in the hospital before that. I think I got the call like a week before that one Mel Chansey show. Like life is going to
Your stomach
continue
bug,
to happen.
too. Remember that
Oh,
stomach
every
bug?
time I fly in a plane.
Yep.
Every
Yep.
single time I fly in a plane. In prep, I'm done. I'm trying to fix that. I actually paid a lot of money to a guy I'm taking like 12 extra supplements for it. Oh wow. But I got a gut specialist. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Like, I pooped in a cup. I sent it off to a lab, and they said, this is what's wrong with your stomach. I said, all right, cool.
What do I do?
But life is going to continue to happen,
Yep.
whether you're a prep or not.
Yep.
Like you could never do a prep again, and all this same stuff is going to
Still gonna
happen to you.
Absolutely.
So you have to think: is it worth the glory? Is it worth the discipline? Is it worth the reward at the end? Which I mean, it's gotta be. Like it's gotta be for you. I think it. Like he said, every powerlifter should do this once. I think everybody should do this once to test themselves.
Yeah,
like get to the
sure.
finish
Only
line.
the strong fucking survive. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, it's just the amount of discipline. But one thing I will say, and it's just paying respect to our team, is that we have such a great support system with Team Warrior Aesthetic, because I can call upon anybody, you or you or you, even you. You're not even on our team, and I can still call you. And I will say, Joe is by far one of my favorite people and one of the people that I respect more than anybody, because Joe and I, both powerlifted together at GrindFit. On top of that, I have asked Joe so many questions about so many different things, and he has been there for me. And, now that I'm going down this bodybuilding journey, I picked his brain. He's even talked to my wife and said, hey, this is what you got to look forward to with Alex. Get ready.
We see each other at the grocery store a lot.
Yeah. So
he can't go there, obviously.
we don't live far from each other either.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
But I think that's a big thing. Is I'm very fortunate to be blessed to be around such amazing people, and that's why Sarasota is so wonderful, because we have such an amazing bodybuilding culture here. I was actually telling a buddy of mine from Boston about that today. I was like, I said we just are so lucky here, and I'm all about culture, whether it was powerlifting, whether it was, the hardcore music scene and, or bodybuilding, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of so many awesome cultures with so many amazing people. And again, I think that's what fuels me to keep pushing. Yeah. If I was on my own, I probably wouldn't last as long, to be honest with you. But I am blessed to have such amazing people in my corner. And that's why I'm going to keep fucking fighting and just give it everything I got.
100%, man. 100%. And it's funny, when I made that rant on my Instagram, I'm sure you guys seen that one, a little rant, right? I made a darker one right after that, but then my phone died. So it kind of made sense, right? It was good, but that's what I was saying. Like, dude, it's so disrespectful to the people that believe in you for you to not give this 100%.
I don't know if I got that one or not.
Like, it's so fucking disrespectful. Like, I can't even fathom cheating because Dustin's looking after me. Like, he's my fucking coach. Like, I'm letting him down. I'm letting Jen down. How the fuck can I even be a man?
You let me down.
Or if I'm gonna cheat. If I'm gonna eat a gram over, and I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna say this till I fucking die, dude. I don't have to do a gram under or over. I don't fucking care. I'm not doing it because you know what? It's disrespectful to him. It's disrespectful for you guys, the people that believe in me, the people that are paying to come watch me fucking do it, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, this sport is built for certain people, and then certain people it's just fucking not, and that's totally okay. And That's
Yeah.
totally okay. And that's the big talk that I had with this person, right? And many other people on the team, right? And just, or maybe it's not just right now, right? Because I do think somebody like Keon had all the fucking tools, could not get it together mentally. I know it was. You see all the podcasts. He's fucking Mr. Olympia now. So I'm not saying it can never happen, but
Twice.
I mean, the mother, dude, you see him last time? Oh my God, right? Monster. So we have pretty much almost the best physique I've ever seen in the past couple of years, in my opinion, on stage, condition and everything. So, it will be your time eventually, to this person. But anyway, man, I think we're about at that time.
Yeah.
So guys, this was awesome. Joe, love you. Jen, love you. Alex, love you, dude. I can't wait to see you kill the last 6 weeks of this prep.
Yeah.
And any closing remarks for anyone real quick?
I'm gonna have you go, and then I'll.
No, I think we covered a lot of stuff.
A lot of shit.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have something. Real quick. So if you are a bodybuilder and you do want to learn more about powerlifting history, I think it's very important, because a lot of people, they'll watch stuff from Generation Iron or the Phil Heath story, Pumping Iron, but there's not a lot on powerlifting.
Yep.
So I recommend a lot of bodybuilders to check out the documentary West Side versus the World, just because it gives you the history of such an iconic gym that changed so much for powerlifting. Whether you're a raw lifter or an equipped lifter, it affected everybody. So I think if you're a bodybuilder and you want to learn more about powerlifting history, watch West Side versus the World. You can buy it or stream it somewhere. Just educate yourself. Be a well-rounded athlete all around, and that's my advice.
Hell yeah.
Or just go to a meet.
Yeah,
They're everywhere.
Show up.
They're everywhere.
That's it. Worst edX is that we're signing everyone up for a meet. We're going to powerlifting. That's it.
No, man, I'm done.
Bodybuilding.
Nope, I'm not.
Hey,
I'm done.
I tell you what, all the people in off season, there's no expectation of powerlifting.
Yeah.
Just go do it.
Yep.
Like
pretty much.
literally,
I'll do
there
it
is
bench
no
only.
expectation.
Give me the green light. I'll go do it bench
Right.
only.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm good.
I consider that all the time. He saw me a couple weeks ago hit 405 for 2, and it wasn't a problem.
Strong.
No, I will do strongman before I go back to powerlifting. No offense to powerlifters.
No more powerlifting. It's okay. But all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for having us.
25. Like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when we're posting more of these videos. And we'll see you on the next one. Let's go.
Let's go.